Hello and welcome everyone. I've got today another video. This is I didn't really want to make one on this tank, but here I am making one anyway, just because it was a decent game. I'm in a VK 10001P. This is a tier 8 German heavy tank, what I like to call specifically a German super heavy tank in my personal opinion, just because of how utterly amazing it is. And I wanted to try this tank out primarily through seeing it elsewhere in the game, and also I want to see armor. I want a super heavy tank. I want something similar to my Japanese heavy tanks. So I'm out here playing on Kasserine standard battle. Decent tier up matchmaking as well. Quite a fair few tier 7s, not many tier 8s, which I'll take it any day of the week. And we're going to be going down the valley. I wanted to specifically take it down here, more so on the reason that I could get corridor fighting going on, a lot of bounces here, there and everywhere. And whilst I'm waiting for the tank really to go forward, I'm going to give you some decent looks at the tank itself. Now this is in its infancy as well, so I haven't got anything upgraded on the tank. It is just the stock gun. Certainly when you're in a game like this, it's fairly useful. There's a lot of stuff you can pen just on its own. So the 10.5, you ran about 200mm of standard penetration, up to 244 with premium ammo, isn't too bad. 0.36 on the dispersion, 2.1 seconds aim time with this round of fire, 6.12. So the reload is actually very good. Unfortunately, due to the fact that I wasn't recording at the time, I'm using the in-game replay feature, and you can't see that. Hopefully soon you will be able to. I am very interested because I want to use this tank in the face of people to use a 12.8. You get a lot more alpha, you get decent size penetration, and especially in games like this, it's going to help. You do sacrifice on a larger scale the ability to engage over long range. Now this tank has really good view range. For a heavy tank, it is fantastic. And you'll see me use that a little bit later on, even though some people, whilst I didn't say in game, I would presume they were having some sort of a paddy fit with what I was trying to do. But its view range is extremely good for the actual tank itself, without anything on it, about 400 meters. Considering what it is very good. Whilst it's got good view range, the actual gun I'm using itself, the 10.5, I've had a bit of a hit and miss with the gun itself. It hasn't been amazingly good. The gun is a bit trolley over long range, but its alpha makes up for it, especially with its reload. I've been to and fro of whether I actually want the 12.8 because of the reload, but then the alpha is just going to be intoxicating, and hopefully I won't find myself in a map where team support is necessary for this tank. I've played maybe about 4 or 5 games in it so far, and realised that its absolute slow nature of turning, ability to actually move anywhere very quickly, it requires the team to work well with it. Being that kind of breakthrough tank, you want to take it forward, you want to have it in the face of enemies, because that frontal hull armor is just phenomenal, and you'll regularly get steel wall just because. Just got to make sure you hide that lower front plate, because it's not exactly amazing. It will get kept penned by quite a lot of stuff, to be perfectly honest, so you just got to make sure you hide it. And this tank, much like the Tiger P, is also very prone to being tracked. So I've got the large repair kit on there, I've got a decent crew, so I want to make sure that I'm not having to use my either large repair kit, where I'm using the passive skill, my small repair kit, and I've also got, I believe, a fire extinguisher, because this thing is a massive artillery magnet. Again, it's not exactly difficult to hit something the size of a small ship that moves about the same speed. There are a couple of artillery in this game, and I did get away with actually not having any of them really aim at me or want to do anything towards me. With the fact that it only moves at 20k per hour forward and about 15 back, which, by the way, reverse speed is actually decent, not something I really want to go up against. As the team is going on and progressing, we've lost a shed load of tanks. We're already down 5. And this is where I'm starting to think, oh bugger, I am a heavy tank with the inability to do much, and this light tank's going to come around the corner and spot me. Get a decent shot to the side and do some damage to him. I start moving back and turn my turret left, and then I turn it right before he's turned. I want to try and keep him in an area where I can hit him and make sure I will do. Fortunately, I get the kill shot on him, and I didn't get buggered over by the server reticule. Now I know there are a lot of tanks on the other side, but I'm out in the open. Got artillery aiming in my direction, so I want to try and at least get shots into them, point forward, and use what is an absolutely monstrous, maybe 270 to 300mm upper front plate armor. I mean, that's not including the 270 that's on my gun manlet as well. It's something to... You'll see later on why it is that it's feared, especially coming up against tanks of a lower tier. There will be plenty of opportunity for people to pen me on a lower front plate. I mean, that's only like 200mm of armor. If you're using premium shells, you're going to go through it. But it's hit and miss as to the upper tier targets going through the lower front plate, so always try and hide it. I'm sitting behind the tank making sure. Then I can see a lot of people going through onto the other side, and I'm in a bit buggered situation. Would be a nice way of placing it. We're down still a few more tanks, 7-4, and I've got a T-29 in front of me that is spotting me for the artillery. Artillery at the moment isn't detected, so there's a good chance it's going to hit me, so I'm trying to roll backwards and forwards, take a pop shot at the T-29 to see if I can actually hit him. Fortunately I hit the wall. Again, the trolley nature of this gun, even fully aimed in, doesn't help. As it is, they are moving around en masse onto our base. I want to try and make sure I don't climb any hills, exposing the lower front plate, exposing the side, the fact that I'm going to go up slowly, the artillery that could come in and rain down on me. For some reason, it hasn't happened, but I'm going to try and minimize that as much as possible. Because of the likelihood of this tank's shells to troll me, I want to use the massive velocity that is available to me with the APCR shells over standard, so I want to make sure that my shots go in a straight line. I do fire premium out of this tank a lot for that reason. The shell velocity on the standard rounds makes it seem more like a howitzer, so I'm not too interested in trying to do something that's, it might hit, it might not. I want the guaranteed hit. In this scenario, 10 versus 6, or 10 kills to 7, I don't want to take that risk, so I'd take a nice shot into the side of the Pershing, who for some reason decides he's going to hit me in my tracks. Tracks me instead. He had a nice shot on the lower front plate, but it might have gone down. Bounce one on my copula, which again is very trolley, and I'm now going to contend with 3 tanks that are moving around. Ideally I want to try and hit the IS, but that's okay. This Super Pershing decides to move forward, and he has a damaged fuel tank, gets set on fire and gets killed. Happy about that. That tank is also trolley with armour. Now I've got the problem of a T-29 coming up my right. Fortunately at the moment he's not able to get a shot on me, but I'm in a bit of a predicament. I'm being flanked by an IS, I've got a Tiger 2 that's on my left, and the T-29 that's just took a hit from me. This is where I believe I look to change to standard rounds of ammunition, because there isn't anything really difficult to go through the front of the tank. And I'm going to take the nice 300 Alpha that I get on a regular basis and slap it into the front of his tank, and use the redonkulous armour to just ping, ping, ping like table tennis all those rounds off me. At the moment artillery has been destroyed, so he doesn't have the backup he requires. The only thing he has as an opportunity is to track me. That was me using the small repair kit, as I wanted to make sure he was dead. I need to turn this tank around. Bit of a low roll, but that's okay. I don't want to get flanked. I also don't want to be out too much in the open where I'm going to get shot. For some reason the T-29 doesn't actually go hull down properly, exposes a lot of his top, and to be perfectly honest, his numbers were up all the time. A nice little bit of side scraping as well, because this tank is an animal for it. As long as you angle it okay, people aren't going to overmatch, they're just going to ping straight off. It is very, very good in that scenario with your city maps, brawling around the corners. I mean, it doesn't. All you need to do is look at it, and you know it's going to be good. I mean, I've heard this tank can bounce tier 10 rounds. Fortunately, I haven't had the pleasure of being in a tier 10 game, so I can't clarify and confirm, but I would be inclined to believe them. We're moving up on the base now. There's only 4 tanks left on their team. Tiger 2, T-28 prototype, a Tiger 1, and a Craft Panther, and 2 of them are in the base. Doesn't seem like there's a lot of time left, a minute and 5, but there's still plenty of time for me to get round. I am a very slow tank, but it's not something to be worried about just yet. Because this is coming up onto the end of the game, and because they are in the flag cap, I don't want any chances. I want to penetrate, so I will be 100% using premium rounds. I know there's a Tiger 2 over here, which again has trolley armour, but I'm not sure what else is around here because I've been too engrossed and engaged in the other tanks. Coming up around the side, I want to make sure that maybe I can have some sort of armour protection, but my massive 1700 hit points is not something to go amiss, and to be honest, I can take the hits. Coming around the corner, we see the Tiger 2, half health, decent. I'll take a quick little pop shot into him, aim for his lower front plate, hit it, and do damage. He fires premium into the lower part of my gun manlet and again does damage, so it's a fairly decent shot. Unfortunately, due to the kind of positioning of myself and him, he has a very good chance and opportunity to keep going through that specific part providing hits. And because he's using premium rounds, they fly more or less in a straight line and will do damage. And as you can see, all 3 shots penned. The Craft Panther, on the other hand, unfortunately doesn't have the luxury of the penetration required to go through the front of this tank, and used a lot of silver in order to try and put the point across. I'm not sure as to why the Craft Panther does this, but at the moment the 2 other people on the other side of the map are staying there for the time being. They are relatively slow. You got the Tiger 1, you got the T-28 prototype. I want to try and give the illusion to this Crab Panther that I may have moved elsewhere. He doesn't know where I am. He does roll forward and he does feel the wrath. And I believe this is where I start using standard rounds as well. Saving measure on the silver, and I've got no issues at all in penning a Crab Panther. Although, same can't be said for him. That's a definite ricochet in his APCR. And there's another one. It's going to be riddled with bouncers and gouges out the front of it. You're not going to go through it. And he's not going to live to tell the tale. He should have ran. This tank isn't something that can be turned easily, and even with a turret rotation as well, it's still going to be a little bit slower than a Crab Panther. And ideally, all he needs to do is just keep me where I am. The only thing I would have been able to do from there is to try and gain as much distance as possible. So whilst I can be out in the open, maybe in some regards they can all come around and hit me, all I have to do is take out the gun separately. Now I'm going to start using the tank's ridiculous view range, as there's a little rock up here. I don't need to go forward, and I'm going to presume that people on the other team are going to somehow decide to come down after me, as they should do. But in other respects they don't need to, because they'll win the game on the basis of damage done. I believe that they will have done more damage than what our team will have, because they have more tanks left. Whether that's the case or not, no one knows until the end. So I'm going to use the view range, I'm going to see what I can spot, and there's a very good chance I will get spotted myself, but I don't care. I want to see what I can spot, and here's the Tiger 1. APCR loaded. Fortunately he hasn't spotted me, and I don't know, I assume his commander's dead, because that's not exactly that far, but at the end of the day, it doesn't bother me. What does bother me is the trolley nature of this gun to go into the ground. As you can see, a shake of the turret, a disagreement. It is at this point that I know the T-28 prototype, because of the long engagement between me and the Crab Panther and me and the Tiger, is going to have plenty of chance to have moved up. So whilst I want to stay and try and spot people, I get spotted myself by the T-28 prototype, but I don't know where he is. There we go. I've got to roll back. Fortunately, I dodged that round. Matrix style, surely. But I still want to use this point of where I am. I know the Tiger 1's a fair way in the distance, and I know at the same time the T-28 prototype must be as well. If I can't spot him using this view range, he must be some way into the distance. Possibly near the Tiger, maybe just a little bit further back. As it is, because the Tiger's one shot, I don't need to worry so much about this. This game is now in my hands to win, or to lose in that respect. And all I want to do now is just see if I can spot them, to see where they're coming from. Not necessarily to go up and get shots and make them shoot. The only thing I want to do is to see where they're going to be coming from. I don't need to worry about the Tiger. If the Tiger comes up, he's 100% going to die. The story's going to end. The issue is the T-28 prototype. Because again, this is a very important scenario in the game. Overall, I want to make sure I hit and pen premium rounds around about. I will consistently use them in scenarios like this, and generally all the time. The on-track event, I want to try and get as much of that XP as possible out of my premium account. I now start to move up. I don't know where the other two are, and I presume that because the T-28 prototype is almost as slow as me, he can't really move from his position. They might be going around for a flank, they might not, but it is not something that I'm worried about. Because of the maneuver I make, the Tiger appears on the right hand side and effectively gives up with the game itself. A nice little premium into the side ends his day. 6 kills in total so far. We're on a top gun, and we've only got one tank left, the T-28 prototype. Unfortunately, I don't know how much health he's on. I'm going to give the illusion that I'm going back until I'm undetected, and then I'm going to go around the right. Whether this will work or not, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But the idea is to try and I'm so slow, I have to try and make it look as if I'm going in one direction over another. God, I hate one direction. Moving on the side, I want to use the cover I have available to me. I don't necessarily have an issue with the T-28 prototype. I shouldn't have an issue with the T-28 prototype. I have the health pool to deal with him. I have the capability of being able to do decent damage to him. And as it appears to be, he's a one-shot for me as well, so I'll pop a little APCR into his shell. 263 takes him down, and that is the end of the game. 7 kills overall, monstrous amount of damage considering the absolute mountain I had to climb. 5,500 XP, 5,500 plus damage, 2,250 block, a mastery badge, Devastator, Top Gun, Defender, Steel Wall, obviously in high caliber, 2,200 base XP, absolutely phenomenal in this type of tank. given the circumstance of the game itself, I was pretty much at my odds end. I didn't think I would survive. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and don't forget to check all the other videos I have as well. Thank you very much for watching.